Yeah, exactly. You mentioned first that in this book that the first thing you do to prevent any trouble at sea is just to operate the boat safely. Good seamanship prevents most problems at the beginning, and then you speak afterwards of the fact that, look, if this very gloomy prospect ever did happen, you have to realize that as you just said, that sinking is far worse than being in a boat that's overturned, but it's still going to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the Trimaran is better suited to capsize survival than the catamaran.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least in the larger boats. In the smaller boats, of course, capsize means that the main hull gives you something higher and bigger to hang on to than either of the hulls in a catamaran. And a lot can be done to make it possible to hang on to the bottom of an upturned multi-hull, cat or tri. It's not difficult. It takes a little forethought just to put a few pad eyes, something through which one could run a line around the boat and around the crew in order to keep you on board, to make it possible to get a little rest instead of having to cling to the centerboard slot or some such while awaiting rescue or before one manages to drift ashore. And yet all of this talk is pretty much put onto the back burner these days, and it's because except in the racing boats, capsize has become so uncommon, so infrequent, that people just don't worry about it anymore unless they're going to go racing in a super light and probably grossly overpowered multi-hull. And in that case, then capsize must be prepared for. Its eventuality is right up front. You can't push it onto the back burner. And it's not only because the boats have enormous sail plans for their stability, but they also are sailed without reserve. I've often thought that the multi-hull was really better suited to cruising than to racing, because if you have a boat that's capable of such wonderful things, these incredible speeds, nowadays the bigger boats are enjoying easy 200-mile days at sea, easy loping along cruising at twice the maximum speed that was ever achieved by cruising cruising monohulls before the multi-hull came along, and it's this what Dick Newitt calls greed for speed, or what I call hypertestosterosis. The racing skipper is bound to just lash his boat into a lather in order to beat up on his buddy, and it very often in windy races results in capsize. And not just the little ones, including the big ones. The little boats can actually be managed more efficiently in hard, gusty conditions than the big ones, because it's so much quicker, so much easier to handle the sails and the forces involved.
Right.
But I think the first question you've posed is an interesting one, but it's almost moot unless one wants to go racing. And then there's a lot of information in this book that some of it has found its way into the offshore racing rules. In fact, and what Phil Weld used to call his calamity pack is the secret to the whole thing, and it's described in detail in the book. There's actually a capsize preparation checklist available in the book.
Yeah, you know, it was fascinating. All the technical information was great. I really enjoyed not just the technical information, but the stories. The stories of survival at sea and just the great storms that multi-hulls have endured. And I know monohulls have too, but it's very interesting to read about how some of these sailors were able to get through storms, you know, and manage to stay upright and get through these tremendous storms with these huge waves hitting them, hitting their multi-hull vessels broadside, and just amazing, just really fascinating stuff.
Well, that's what Joe Hudson, my old friend Joe Hudson, who incidentally drew the cartoons that are in the book. He has a has very dedicated following. Joe is the guy that's been able to take the fear out of seafaring with his cartoons by poking fun at it. But something that you haven't seen yet, Joe, but is coming to you right away, and I suppose you can post pretty soon, is a tape recording that was made in 1971 by my late great friend Mark Hassel, as he and his family crew were in the process of surviving one of the worst hurricanes that's ever hit in the North Island of New Zealand. And the compelling thing about this tape recording, this audio posting, which I'm sure you'll want to post on your site pretty soon here, is that Mark tells the story as if he was reporting it live to the listener, as though he was almost pleading for consolation. Of course, it was a one-way conversation that he was having, but the tone, the emotional effect of having his family seriously in harm's way, and how he managed the boat, how he learned from trying different storm survival tactics at sea. We've got that now in audio as it was happening. And,
wow.
I'm hoping that we will all benefit from listening to that.
Wow, that is fascinating.